Hello everyone. I'm delighted to welcome you all in today's webinar where we'll be discussing about steps to OSHA's 18001 certification. My name is Suzana Ayete, the PCB organizer of this webinar, and the guest for today is Anis Khan, Head of QSHS Development at SSFAT and PCB Certified Trainer. Please write your questions and comments in the question box in the right-hand control panel, and Mr. Khan will answer to them accordingly. Moreover, if you want to participate directly with Mr. Khan in the discussion, you can also raise your hand, and then we will unmute you so you can make your questions directly to him. Please, Mr. Khan, you may start the presentation.
Okay, thank you, Susanna. Hello and assalamu alaikum, everyone. This is Anasuddin Khan, and as Susanna told that I'm a certified PCB trainer and associated with the organization called SSFAT. It's Safe System for Advanced Technology, and working as a head of QHSE and development. My qualification is that I did masters in applied chemistry and chemical technology from Pakistan, and I'm certified trainer for OSHA's EMS food safety, and also lead auditor and lead tutor for QMS, EMS, and food safety. My experience includes a mix of implementation, the development of system, and also auditing and training. So I was associated with SGS Pakistan with my previous company, and with that company and my previous company, I performed more than 350 audits, and which includes third-party audits, second-party audits, and gap assessment to oil and gas sectors, and with some other multinational companies. And I also conducted training more than 1,500 hours for public house trainings. So at the moment, I'm associated with SSFAT, which is Saudi-based company, and our services includes advanced testing for NDT, DT, and training and development regarding to QHSE and the technical trainings. Also, we did competence assurance for the operators, for the workers who have been in diploma in different field like electrical, mechanical. So our competence assurers are certified from UK, from Chartered Quality Institute. So they see them, how they perform, they discuss with them, and then assure that they are doing as they should do. Some other businesses of our company include consultancy about QHSE, about technical, and also we supply equipments regarding to NDT, DT, XRAN, and all other things. So let's just start it with the webinar topic. The topic is steps to OSHA certification. So first of all, we should know why OSHA certification, or why it is necessary, or is it only a piece of paper. OSHAS is basically not a piece of paper. When I say OSHAS, it stands for Occupational Health and Safety Assessment Series, which is 18,000 standard. It's BS standard, British standard. It's not ISO standard. So it's about occupational health and safety requirements, which are required to implement in the company to have safe culture. And it is also recognized, internationally recognized standard. Once you develop and implement this standard, and you get the certification from third-party certification, so it assures that you have a safe culture within your company. Some of the people says that certification with third party is only a piece of paper, but specifically when I talking about OSHA certification, it's not like this. There is no any mandatory procedure for OSHA certification until and unless it is a part of your system, or it should be reflected with the practices of personnel. So there is no need to documentation a lot. You have to only document some important procedures, and the focus should be on the implementation, on the safe practices. So sorry, some of the requirements for OSHA certificates, why we need OSHA certificates is to be a safe organization. How can we have a safe organization, uh, if we have done, risk assessment, if we have applied operational control, if we have emergency procedures and their response. So then after applying all these controls, we can say that we are a safe organization. When I say safe organization, it means that a worker who is coming in the morning, he should have a confidence that he will go out with the same condition in which he was arrived in the company. So this brings the more motivation, this brings the more confidence, this brings the more control of work to the workers. Sometimes it is also required by customers because most of the companies when they publish a tender in newspapers and websites, they need that the services company to whom we are going to work with, or the manufacturing company who is going to provide us some raw material, they should have some safety culture. They should have some management system. They should they should adopt some international practices. So there is a chance that once you have a safe management system, once you have a safety culture in your company, so the chance of accidents gets reduced, and in turn your productivity will be increased. So this is one of the requirement by customers. Nowadays it is very important to have some occupational health and safety certifications, as well as sometimes EMS and QMS certifications from the customers, especially the oil and gas sector and the energy sector. And also you know every country has the legislations regarding to health and safety within an organization. So sometimes they have some stringent requirements, sometimes they have medium requirement, and sometimes they have very lean requirement. So it depends on your own legislations which you are going to adopt, that how much level you are going to adopt, because legislations are only the basic rules which are required to implement or develop within your organization. Because if you don't obey the legislations, there is a chance that your company can be penalized. So you have employees and union pressure. This is the positive pressure, because as I told in the start, that every employee or the worker, they want to be a safe, they want to work in a safe environment, they want to work in a safe culture. So they can be they have responsibilities from their home. They don't want to get injured, they don't want to sit in the home with the injury or ill health. They want to work, they want to get rewards and recognition. So this is also a pressure from the employers and unions to provide them a safe culture in which they can work. It is also required by some shareholders and stakeholders that the company should have occupational health and safety system, so their employees and their assets are in a safe condition, are in a safe environment. They are being monitored by some competent people. They are being assured by some third party. So this is the same with the requirements for banks and insurers. So if the company has taken some loan from bank, like some companies have taken bank from IFC, International Finance Corporation. Some companies take loans from banks. So these are also required by them to have a safe system of work. So that is why this certification is very important for the company who is it doesn't matter that it is a manufacturing company or a services company. If you want to have a safe system, if you want to have a safe culture in your organization, then you can adopt OSHA certification. Now discuss some benefits of certification. So it provides a structure to incorporate health and safety requirements for the business. It increases staff commitment, reduction in injuries and in health, provide benefits to both employees and employer. This is a both side requirement. Like if you have less injuries, if you have less ill health cases, then the productivity of the company will increase. The amount which you are going to give to the hospitals or to the insurance companies, they will reduce. So if we have this system, so this premium amount for the insurance and the hospital claims, they are going to reduce. uh, Uninterrupted business flow brings confidence of customer, because if you don't have safe culture, like if you have if you are working in an environment where fire is a big potential, or where electricity is a big potential for big potential hazard. So if you have fire in the company, even if it is very low, or if it is only in one area, so your production is going to disturb. So, but if you are working with the big companies as a vendor or as a service provider, they don't want any interruption in their side, in their business. So you have to supply the raw material to them without any interruption. Uh, Reduction in insurance premium and improvement in compliance record, because there is a complete clause in standard of OSHAS 18001, which is 4.3.2, about the legal and other requirement. So even if we have, if we don't have stringent requirement, or if there is no government authority, personnel, inspectors or regulators who are coming to inspect your company, but still, if you are going to adopt this certification, it is a requirement of this standard that you should follow the legal requirements of the country, the legal requirements of the state. So definitely it will move you for a good compliance record. So now, approach for OSHA certification. From these benefits, which I told earlier, we can convince our top management for the certification. And for this certification, our approach should be, it's a PCA approach. It's plan, do, check, act. And the whole standard is based on this PDCA cycle. This PDCA is basically dimming cycle. Some trainers they use the word dimming cycle. Some trainers they use the word PDCA cycle. So whatever it is, it's about plan, do, check, act. So this standard, or even all of the management standards which are developed by ISO, they are based on PDCA. The standards are being designed in such a way that if you are going to read the standards, you should have the requirement, the clauses, they are adjusted in such a way that they should follow PDCA. PDCA is one of the smartest approach ever, since it is more than 50 years back. It was developed by Mr. Deming, but still it is one of the beneficial approach to apply management system in any organization. So for planning, we have the clauses like policy, like risk assessment, like objectives, like legal requirements. All the clauses which are in 4.3.3, including 4.3.1, 4.3.2, 4.3.3. These are all part of planning. For do, we have what we have planned. Now we have to perform this. For performance, we always need some procedures, some work instructions, some guidelines, and of course the record of the implementation is very necessary. So this is evidence of the implementation. And for do, we have some more clauses like training, operations control, and emergency preparedness. And then whatever you are going to apply or whatever you are going to implement, it should be monitored by someone. It should be monitored by a team of competent person, or it should be monitored by some automation, that the controls or the procedures which you are going to implement are as built as they should be. So the monitoring and measurement, there are the company develop monitoring and measurement procedures. They check their performance, they check the incident reporting, they perform the internal audit and routine inspection to evaluate that whatever they are going to implement is up to the mark or not. They meeting the requirement of their own procedures and policies. Are they going to meet the requirements of legal and statutory requirements? So if you talk about the act, so whatever you have checked, sometimes you will have some weaknesses, sometimes you are going as per your plan. So whenever you are going to perform the check process, so you can perform the check process by corrective and preventive actions. You can sometimes internal audit is also a part of act. and then you discuss all of the weaknesses and strength and the overall performance of OSHA system in your management review, which is clause 4.6. This is the last clause of standard, and after that there is if you present the requirements, the status of the organization to your management. So this will be a complete cycle of PDCA, because management will take some decisions, they will provide you resources, they will encourage the people, they will allow you to have some system of rewards and recognition within the company. So after this, the point which have been decided in the management review meeting, it will be the part of continual improvement. So then again it will become the planning part. So this is the complete cycle in which the whole standard is going to revolve. It starts with planning, do, check, act. So if you remember these four words, PDCA, you will have a very good system and a simple system for your organization, especially for those companies who are looking to get certification of OSHAS. So how to OSHA certification? Before startup, your management should be, you should, as a HSE professional or as a OSHAS professional or as a management representative, you should find someone from the top management to lead this team, because top management has a power for resources. Top management has the power to take decisions. Top management can engage with the middle management. So whenever you are going to adopt OSHA certification, it is also stated in OSHA's standard that top management is responsible for the implementation of this standard. So we have to select a technical person from the top management to be a part of this team or to lead this team, and his team will include the people, the persons who have some technical background, or it could be technical, or sometimes non-technical can also be. We can train them to develop some skills about health and safety requirement. But normally, these should be mostly the part of operational team, the maintenance team, engineering team. So these are all technical background, because they have the direct exposure with the machinery. They are the one who are directly involved in the field work. So they are at the risk, and they know their jobs very well. So these technical persons, it could be managers, it could be supervisors, it could be engineers, and the operators. This could be the part of your OSHA's team. The team should be blend of all departments, because this is not a standard for one department or two departments. This standard is for all, for whole company. Whatever boundaries you are going to define in the scope, whatever processes you are going to define in scope, whatever your one site contains, either it could be warehouse, it could be stores, it could be labs, it could be departments, it could be production department and the financial department if they are on the same side. So every department is involved, is a part of this OSHA's management system. So you have to select the persons from all fields. It is good to have the team, like you can divide the team in different levels, like first is the top management, second is the middle, and then you can cascade down it to the workers. So for workers, we can have worker safety representatives. We have engineers who can be the part of this OSHA's management system. Other than their own responsibilities, they can be the part of OSHA's team. So after that, if you think that there is need of consultant, I have written that if needed, which means that it is not necessary. It is not mentioned in the standard. It is not a requirement of the standard that you should have consultant. But if you are going to adopt some standard, or if you are going to adopt some good practices, there should be someone who is experienced. It could be part of your management team, or you can hire someone with this health and safety background, or the complete team comprises of 3 or 4 persons who can be the responsible for this OSHA certification. So if you don't have any experienced person in the company regarding to OSHAs, then you should go for the consultant, because they are the one who are going to give you the right directions. Because otherwise your understanding with the standard uh, will not be so clear. Uh, you cannot get trained on some legal requirements. You cannot identify some legal requirements. You can have some issues with the trainings because no one is experienced. So it is good to have a consultant, but again I would say that it is not a mandatory requirement. So if you hire a consultant, then this consultant should develop the procedure. This consultant should provide the trainings. This he should also perform the competence assurance of your personnel who are working in different fields, and also they should involve with your team for the implementation. It's not like that they produce the documents for you and you just going to implement them. No, they should sit with your team. They should your team, your OSHA's representatives should sit together with the consultants, and then you develop the procedures. So this should be, as simple as possible, user friendly, so they can be implemented and adopted by the all personnel in the company. So here I divided this certification in 10 simple steps. So if these are, they're very easy to adopt, and these are all basically the requirements of the standard. If you start with the PDCA, like OSHA's policy, risk assessment, legal and other requirement objectives, these are all part of P. Develop control is a part of D. Monitoring and performance measurement is a part of C. And then we have management review, and then we can ready for the to go with the certification body. So here are the stages of OSHA certification. First step is develop top management commitment by signing off OSHA's policy. It's not only as I told you, that it's not only a piece of paper that which they are going to sign, and after that this is a lifetime achievement, or there is no need to understand the requirement of standard, or there is no need to provide resources and consultation and decision making. No, this should be committed by the top management, because always commitment comes from top. If you are going to change the culture from top, it can be adopted by anyone. So implementation should be, you should arrange a meeting with your top management, all the directors and general managers, to discuss about the benefits and the challenges, because if you're going to have this certification first time, you will have lot of challenges and you have to change the culture. So you will have lot of challenges like workers overtime reduction, the resource requirements, and your policy should cover reduction in injuries and ill health, compliance with legal and other requirement, and continual improvement. So these are some mandatory element of policy which are being stated in OSHA's standard. So first of all, this is to make the ground from the top that you are going to adopt OSHA certification. Stage 2 is about the conducting of risk assessment. Risk assessment is, when I say risk assessment, it contains hazard identification and risk assessment. So this is a complete system which identify the hazards or the potential hazards within your organization. Then you calculate the risk and apply the control. So if the controls are within the limit, then it's okay. Otherwise, you can adopt these control as a part of your objective. So for the implementation of this hazard assessment process, you have to train your managers and senior supervisors. Also conduct risk assessment in the form of team. Never think that risk assessment can be done by your one person, one HSE manager or HSE engineer alone. No, this will always be performed in the form of team, because with one mind you cannot have all the awareness about the hazards and the control. So it is always good to have some HSE specialist within your team, the area manager, the operator and supervisor, to perform this risk assessment. And once you perform this risk study, it is not a one-time job. You should review it with frequent time intervals. So the third step is to identify the legal requirement. As I told you, that legal requirement is mandatory in this standard. Even if your country has weak legal requirements, or they are not going to have some regulatory requirements on you, but still you have to see whatever the requirements which are applicable to your organization or the nature of your work. it should be applied. So for this legal requirements, because most of the persons in your technical team belong to the technical departments like engineering and operation, and they do not have idea about the legal requirement. So you should contact your legal department, or you can take help from consultant. You can take helps from the publishers in the market who are available, who publish the laws. So you can take help from them. And if there are one or more than one requirements, for like sometimes it has happened that there is one country requirement and there's one state requirement. So whatsoever is the stringent, you should go for the stringent one. And uh, you develop your legal register. Legal register is about that you should identify the legal requirements in it can be prepared in the form of Excel sheet. So first of all, you have to identify the legal requirement, and then you have to write the clause, which clause is applicable. It is not necessary that all of the requirement will be applicable to your nature of work. So you should identify the relevant clause, and then what actions you are going to take. It will be in the next column, and who is responsible for taking these actions, and what is the monitoring of these legal requirements. So this is a complete process which we can say that legal register, and it should be updated regularly because it is a live document. The fourth step is to develop organization-wide and individual OSHA's objective. If you want to improve, this is the requirement of all management system standard, that you should have objective, and the objective should be SMART. And for OSHA's, your objective can be derived from OHS policy, because in OHS policy you made commitment that we will work on the reduction of injuries and ill health. We will always go for the continuous improvement, that we will follow all the legal and other requirements. So your objective can be derived from your policy, from risk assessment, whatever control you have applied in risk assessment. If still the rating is high, then you can make these control as a part of your objectives, because sometimes it is not possible to apply control so quickly. So this will take some time, because there is some resource requirement, there is some shipment requirement. So you can make them as a part of objective, and whatever the legal requirement, if you are not up to the mark the legal requirement, you can make objective from legal requirement. This is also the required by standard. So assign KPI to individual or for the fulfillment of objective. KPI, when I say KPI, are the key performance indicators, and key performance indicator could be from lost time injury, number of non-conformances which are being observed by the OSHA's team, the status of corrective and preventive actions, recommendations for improvement from the top management. So these are some of the KPIs regarding to OSHA's. Start review on progress. If you want to improve this objective system, then you should review these objectives regularly, and especially it is a requirement for the management to review top management to take update and about the objectives and KPIs, and if there is any confusion, if there is any resource requirement, then they should provide. So step 5 is about, now we are discussing about the do. The first 4 steps were about the plan. Now we are discussing about the do. For doing, you have to develop controls like engineering and administrative control. You should develop those engineering and administrative control by means of procedure, by means of job descriptions, by means of work instructions, whatever control you want, or as I said, whatever requirements you seem in your organization, because sometimes the organization has variation of background of personnel. In one department there is some person with middle, some person with diploma holder, some person with engineering background, and some person with IT background. So you have to develop the system in such a way that it should be adopted by everyone easily. So you have to develop the procedure, you have to make the records, whatever you are going to apply, because as a part of audit and as a part of continual improvement or making the new objective, records are very necessary. So identify the training needs within your staff, apply the operations control, like you have to start with the purchase, that whatever the things which are coming into the company, they should follow the health and safety requirements. You have to develop fire safety system, electrical safety, for machine guarding, and also with the, for the process safety, you should have management of control system. Uh, it is also required by the standard that you should have procedure for emergency and consultation and communication. So within the organization and with the outside parties. So you have to develop all these procedures. The next is step 6 is about the monitoring. We are now at C, like plan, do, check. We are in a check now. Start monitoring and checking of what you have implemented in step, like whatever you have applied in step 5, like you have developed controls regarding to engineering and administrative, you have developed procedures. So now it's time to check them, that if they are going in such a way that they should go, are the procedures implementing in such a way that they should implement. For the implementation of this step, you can have proactive and reactive monitoring, measurement techniques like risk assessment, risk evaluation, walk down. This work can be organized with the top management if possible. You have to monitor the behavior of personnel, inspection of work condition, equipment, suppliers, and monitors, calibrations of not of every equipment or every machinery, but it is required by the standard that calibration shall only be carried out regarding to the equipments which are sensitive to health and safety of personnel. Then you can carry out some random visits like inspection by your team or by your safety officer. You have to work out on the accident and near miss reporting system. If you have any near miss or any accident within your organization, you have to investigate in depth by using different techniques. You have to perform internal audit and risk corrective and preventive actions. So after that, you can have some statistical data about the performance of the organization. So step 4 is about the performance measurement. Now, this is one of the things that which the top management love to see, because whatever they are going to spend, whatever time they are going to give, they need some concrete evidences. They need some concrete figures, digits to know about the performance of organization. So show them stats about which we have already discussed in step 6 about accident investigation results, corrective and preventive action results, internal audit reports, and some other KPIs about the status of objective. So on the basis of these, then top management will decide that where we are and where we want to go. So for step 8, if you are going to apply all this control, if the organizational top management is serious about the implementation of control, now it's time to contact your consultant or the certification body. CB is the certification body for OSHA's certification gap analysis, because whatever you think is mandatory or is required with your organization, you have applied it. Now it is time for third eye to see that whatever you have applied are you going in the right direction or you need some improvement. So make sure that you are clear about the scope of certification. As I told you that it is mandatory to include all the departments within one site for the certification scope. So it should not be that, like, if the finance department is within the organization or if the warehouse is also in the same site, that you skip those departments to think that we only include the operations and engineering department. No, whatever the department or the areas which are under one site which you are going to register for the certification, they will be covered. So take serious action on gap analysis, because otherwise these gap analysis can lead to a major non-conformance, and when you have a major non-conformance in your stage 2 audit, it means that you are not going to have certification. So you have to do serious action. The top management should consider these findings as some serious requirements. So if there is still need of some trainings, because you already have performed the training need assessment process, you started the training in your do section. So if still there is need to being identified by the third party for some trainings, so you should arrange trainings for them. Step 9 is about now is after implementing the actions which are or the findings which were raised in the gap analysis. Now it's time to invite the certification body. For certification body, you have to contact. There are a number of certification bodies in your country. So go with the one certification body who can facilitate you, who can lift you in the system. So contact certification body to for the agreement of this OHSAS standard. Uh, this is a process of certification body that they will give you some questionnaire, and you have to fill those questionnaire, and on the basis of that they will decide that how many mandates you need, which sort of auditors you required, what sector you have, what department and manufacturing facilities you have. So after once you sign the agreement, the auditors of certification body, they will come for a stage 1 audit. So stage 1 audit, there is no decision making in stage 1 audit. There is no pass or fail criterion in stage 1 audit. So always be open in stage 1 audit. So whatever, because the auditors are not the policemen. They are like doctors. They are here to solve your problem. They are here to improve your system. So always be open to auditors. Always don't fear with the auditors. They are also human. So whatever issues you have, just put in front of them. So they might give some good suggestions, because auditors cannot do consultation. So they might give you some good suggestion with their experience and their previous exposure. So if whatever findings you have in stage 1 audit, you have to try to solve them before stage 2, because sometimes if you don't have any plan for stage 1 finding, if you don't implement the findings of stage 1, then this could be a threat for your stage 2 certification. So now last step is to, once you get stage 2 audit, after stage 2 audits, it's a certification audit, and there is a decision of pass and fail. So stage 2 audit is the most important audit. You have to be serious for stage 2 audit. You have to show complete commitment. You have to show your full strength for stage 2 audit. So when the auditor will come, they will see your system. The auditor normally they look for your operations area. They will talk with your people to see the level of their commitment, the level of their awareness about health and safety, and then they will going to recommend you for the certification with their accreditation body. So now it's time to celebrate once you have carried out successful certification with OHSAS. So you should be more confident that someone from some third party, they have recognized you, they have recognized your practices, they have recognized your culture with some international standards. So give recognition to your team and other key players who have the part of this team, and the part of the whole responsible persons. Now it's time to again act. So again go for the same cycle of PDCA. Start planning whatever weaknesses which are being identified in your audits, which are being identified by your personnel with their couple of month experience, or sometime it takes 1 year for the startup of certification process. So it's time to review them. It's time to put in front of management, and management should ensure that if you have taken this certification, this is not a lifetime achievement award. They should be serious. They should be more committed. They should show more strength for and spirit for this certification. So you may contact consultant to support you against the action of identifying stage 2. It is up to you. If you think that your people are now qualified, or your people are now in a good position to implement all these requirements, then there's no need to contact consultant. But if you think that your people are still not up to the mark, or they don't have a very good idea about the standard, so you can go for the consultant. Now in the last, there are some some things which you should memorize for your information, that try to develop your management system as simple as possible. Don't go for the complex system. Don't look for the some a big corporate management system. Try to adopt a system which should be acceptable by your organization. It should meet the requirements of your personnel, whatever the literacy rate they have, whatever the competence level they have. It should meet the requirements of your own personnel and your own organization. Don't go for to adopt big organizational systems in the startup. Once you get more mature, with the passage of time, you can adopt, you can improve your practices very well. So if you have complicated procedures, so people will not as far as one-time certification is concerned, that people will go for it, but after certification process or stage 2 process, they're not going to implement this. So they should be in as simple as possible. They should be user friendly, so the workers or the operators or the technician, they can adopt them every time. Or otherwise, if you discontinue your practices, or if you discontinue the implementation of your procedure, then after 1 year or after 6 months, when you have surveillance audit, then you could have major finding. When major finding means the certification is suspended for certain time period unless you improve these findings. And always think that you are not in an ideal state. You should always have in your mind that there's always a room for improvement. So always follow PDCA cycle, always go for good objectives, always go for training processes. So the more you learn, the more you will implement, the more you will have good management system. So this is all about for 10 steps. If you have any questions, so you can ask directly to me, or you can write us. Then inshallah we will try to answer them now. Or if there is some discussion or some detailed answer required, then you can just write to me at anas@ssfed.com. So I will reply you as soon as possible. Thank you so much for your time. Thank you so much for your inputs. Your feedback is welcome. So over to Susanna.
Well, thank you, Mr. Khan, for these lovely presentations. We have some questions that we would like you to answer. The first question is, how many internal audits are mandatory for the third-party certification audit?
What is the difference between?
No. How many internal audits are mandatory for third-party certification audit?
Okay. There is no such requirement to have many internal audit before certification audit. At least you should have one complete cycle of internal audit, which should cover all the departments. So you can verify the requirements of all the standards which are applicable to which is applicable in your organization. So there is no such quantity which we can say that you should have 3 internal audit or 4 internal audit. At least you should have one internal audit, but this internal audit will decide about the number of findings, the level of findings will decide about how much time you will need for going to certification audit. It might be 1 month, it might be 6 months. It depends on the level of findings you have. It depends on the level of the corrective actions which you find in your internal audit.
Okay, thank you, Mr. Khan. The other question is, what are the key factors by which we can measure success of OSHA's implementation in the organization?
Okay, it's a very good question. It's about, if you go on step 7, then you will find some top management actions. So it's about the KPIs. If you measure your KPIs, like if you have reduction in LTIs, if your internal audit results are good, if the safety culture is going to implement, now there are less injuries, now there are less health cases. You can find this with your consultant, with the medical doctor in the company. Or if you have also, you can go to see the legal requirements, if they are in a good compliance level, because the legislator, the regulator, they also used to come on yearly basis to your company, and they give some findings regarding to their standards and the legal requirements. So in regards to legal requirement, if your legal requirements are being improved, if there is less reduction, if there is reduction in the injury and ill health cases, if there is reduction in the downtime due to accident like fire, if there is reduction in the energy saving. So with these analysis, you can measure your performance. So there are a lot of KPIs within OSHA's with the implementation of this, like corrective preventive actions, like incident reporting system. So if all these things are going to improve, or if you are going to apply controls on the risk assessment, so after that, applying all these controls with these factors, you can measure your OSHA's improvement, performance improvement. Thank you.
Thank you. According to your experience, what are the most common issues that may come up during the certification process?
Well, as I told you, that certification process is about to change the culture. This is one of the toughest thing which have to bear with. HSC professionals, they have to work very hard to change the culture of organization. Like if the organization is 20 years old, or if the organization is 30 years old, and now they want to have the certification of OSHAS, and they don't have any good system for accident reporting, for risk assessment, for hazard identification, and for some other objectives, improvement objectives. So this is one of the most important, or most difficult target for you to change the mindset, because some people have different people have different cultural background. They used to follow their norms. They are used because uh, earlier there were no one to guide him, there were no one to teach them, there were no one to stop them. Now you are doing all these things, you are guiding them. Change with the age factor, it's very difficult. You are guiding them, you are teaching them, because you have the supervisor with 20 years experience, you will have the supervisor with 30 years experience, and they think that we are the champions, and we are not going to improve because we have the 30 years of experience without any accident or without any serious injury. So there would be no any benefit if we are going to adopt some new practices, and you are going to stop. So when I say you are going to stop, so it means that if they are doing some unsafe practices, so definitely you are going to stop them. It is not because you want to stop them, it is because you are going to you cared for them. You don't want to have injuries and ill health in your organization with your personnel. So the culture change is one of the most important. And then definitely you need resources from top management. So if you don't have resources, then you cannot purchase your PPs, good quality PPs. You cannot perform your inspections regularly. You cannot have some good teams, especially the trainings. You cannot spend budget on the trainings. So the culture from the personnel or from the management, and the other thing is the resource availability. These are which I think, with my experience, these should go together to have the system. If you are managing with both these things, so definitely you will have some good culture in your organization. Thank you.
Mr. Khan, I would like to thank you once again for this lovely presentation. I would also like to thank all the attendees for taking the time out of your busy schedule to join us. I hope you enjoyed this webinar. We received all of your questions, and because the time is limited, we will answer to your questions individually by email. Also, don't forget to check PCB's webinar schedule on our website, pcb.com, or our official social media network. And since we have arrived at the end of the Health and Safety and Environment webinars for this year, I kindly invite you to attend Privacy Threat with Drones webinar that will be presented tomorrow. For more, check out our website, and I also wish you a Merry Christmas and Happy Holidays to everyone. Bye-bye.